It's time for America Outdoors Radio. The fast-paced hour of outdoors radio ahead is not only awesome, but unlike those other shows, you can actually sleep in for this one. Better still, we've got a special Pacific Northwest edition for you, sponsored by Northwest Sportsman Magazine, Rugged Point Lodge on Vancouver Island, and Northwest Fishing Guides out of our hometown here in Everett. You won't find this version of America Outdoors Radio anywhere else. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio. Brought to you by Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
Oh, we've got a lot of good stuff for you this week on our Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio. We'll be talking to Jennifer Stahl again, co-owner of Northwest Fishing Guides based out of Everett. We'll be talking to Matt Gaget as well. He is coming at you from Rugged Point Lodge on the northwest coast of Vancouver Island. And we're going to be talking with Shane Mizell with Loophole Optics out of Beaverton, Oregon, about the new VX3i rifle scope. But before we get into all of that, let's find out what's hot in the Pacific Northwest. Let's talk about a couple of popular Labor Day destinations east of the Cascade Mountains. The first is Lake Chelan, where the Mackinac bite has continued unabated all summer long. In fact, just 2 weeks ago, a young man fishing with guide Jeff Witkowski caught a 23.4-pound lake trout out of this huge body of water, known more for water sports than the great fishing it provides. You can find out more about the fishing here by going to DarylAndDads.com. Another popular Labor Day vacation destination with lots of camping can be found at Potholes Reservoir. The latest report there indicates the summer bite for walleye has slowed, though they are still landing some nice ones, to include a dandy that weighed just under 9 pounds. The bass bite, though, especially in the sand dunes, has been great this summer. If you really want to have some fun, consider an evening or early morning of topwater fishing for some of these largemouth that often weigh between 3 and 6 pounds. Find out the latest and get the tackle you need at Mardon Resort, which, by the way, has a great fishing dock at the south end of Potholes Reservoir. One last place full of sunshine and camping is Banks Lake. That's where Keith Jensen, owner of Big Wally's Guide Service, has been catching lots of keeper-sized walleye, as well as some decent largemouth and smallmouth bass. So there you go, 3 great Labor Day weekend destinations with lots of fishing promise. It's time to check in with Jennifer Stahl. Jennifer and Jim own Northwest Fishing Guides. They're Everett natives, but they've been spending quite a bit of time the last few weeks at Buoy 10, the mouth of the Columbia River. Jennifer, cue us in. How's the fishing? Is it getting better?
It is actually definitely getting better. I'm convinced now that the kings are confused on what tide that they usually like to run on.
Go on.
We've been getting a lot more kings on these larger tides, and typically they have favored the shallower tides in the past. So a lot of us are very confused.
How are the coho doing? I'm guessing, the forecast is pretty abysmal. Are you running into any coho, and can you keep any of them?
We are running into coho, and we actually had to release one today that was double digit.
Oh, wow. Well, that's good to hear. So
it's very good to hear.
Let's talk about the possession limits. Is it 1 king and 1 hatchery coho, or is it just 2 hatchery fish, or just kings?
It depends on what day of the week you are fishing.
Okay.
So on Sundays and Mondays, you can keep a clipped king and a clipped coho, but Tuesdays through Saturdays, you can keep any king and a clipped coho.
Ah, all right. So book Tuesday through Saturday if you can. And the fishing is looking up, so consider a trip to Buoy 10 and get in on this famous salmon fishery. And if you want to book a trip, well, call Jennifer, call Jim at Northwest Fishing Guides. You can find their phone number through their website at nwfishingguides.net. That's nwfishingguides.net. Jennifer, always a pleasure to talk to you.
You too, John. Thank you.
And with that, let's head to this week's national edition of America Outdoors Radio.
Want a trip with some of the most talented anglers on the water? Then book a trip with Northwest Fishing Guides. Salmon, that's right, salmon are their specialty, and you'll get a chance to catch them out of the mighty Columbia River from a comfortable and sturdy 26-foot boat. Northwest Fishing Guides will take you out for steelhead and sturgeon too, and can also accommodate your saltwater fishing desires. So whether you want salmon in the cooler or other fish on the line, book your trip now at nwfishingguides.net. That's nwfishingguides.net. Book your trip with the best.
It's time for America Outdoors Radio, the show that covers the outdoor scene across the U.S. of A. and the entire continent. Fishing, hunting, conservation, outdoor recreation, and great destinations. We cover it all every week. It's your country, your outdoors. Let's explore it together with your host, John Kruse.
Oh, the 1st of September is just about here. And September is a month that means a lot to us hunters. First off, dove season opens up in many states around the country. Second, grouse season's going to open up too. Third, bear season already open in some places, opening up in others. And don't forget, early season elk hunting, especially for you archers out there. And also, we've got opportunities for high buck hunts in several states too. And let's not forget, next weekend is Labor Day weekend, and that means a lot for outdoors enthusiasts too. But I've got to ask, do you remember that old song by The Clash?
Darling, you got to let me know. Should I stay or should I go?
Well, you might say that sums up my conflicted feelings about Labor Day weekend every year, and I know I'm not alone. On the one hand, I want to go. I want to go out for that last unofficial summer camping trip, fishing trip, time at the beach, time in the mountains, just a getaway with the family. On the other hand, I hate the crowds that you find when you get there. There's just way too many people to really relax and enjoy yourself, not to mention the traffic getting there and getting back. So it comes back again to that age-old question.
Should I stay or should I go now? Should I stay or should I go now? If I go, there will be trouble. And if I stay, it will be double. So come on and let me know.
There actually is a strategy that works here. Let me explain. All the cities pretty much empty out for Labor Day weekend. Again, everybody wants to get out of there. They want their last hurrah out at the Forest Service campgrounds, the national parks, the lakes, the beach. You know what I mean. So here's what you do. You go into the city or into the suburbs where everyone's left. You'll find that hotels are wide open. As a matter of fact, a lot of times you can get some pretty good deals on Labor Day weekend because they're struggling to fill rooms. And places where these city-goers would normally congregate for their local outdoors recreation are available to you, and they're pretty darn uncrowded. So take a look at a major city near you and then kind of draw a radius on a map of about, 30 miles and take a look at what outdoor opportunities are there. You're going to find in most places, especially in the western United States, there's quite a few opportunities, and you'll be surprised at how much fun you can have on what's typically the most crowded summer weekend of the year. Okay, enough of classic rock and Labor Day weekend vacations. Let's talk about what we've got in store for you this week on America Outdoors Radio. We're going to finish our three-part series about grouse hunting with Steve Belinda this week and talk about a new tradition you may want to try out. It's called Grouse Camp. After all, a September grouse camp is going to be a lot nicer weather-wise than an October deer or duck camp, and certainly a lot better than a November elk camp, right? Another bird hunting season kicking off September 1st in much of the nation is the dove hunting season, depending on where you live. You can harvest anywhere from 10 to 20 of these hard-to-hit birds a day. Jeff Miller with Field and Marsh Outfitters out of Oregon offers guided dove hunting adventures and has some tips that will help you out in the dove field this year. The Slam'n Salmon Derby is taking place near the border of Oregon and California in Brookings on September 3rd and 4th, and there's a top prize of $5,000 for the biggest salmon weighed in. Want to join in on the fun and maybe get a chance to get that cash prize? Chrissy Cooper's going to join us to tell you all about it. And we'll also talk to Brad Emerson with King Salmon Marine, who's got some sound advice for those of you thinking of buying a duck hunting boat. In addition to that, we'll introduce you to the new Mountain Ascent rifle from Kimber, a very well-made and very light rifle you'll appreciate the next time you go on a long hunt into the backcountry. Want more? Okay. In our Outdoors News segment, we've got a great story about two literary giants of the 20th century and the pair of elk antlers that ties them together, along with a story about a salmon species that has Terminator-like tendencies in terms of being one tough fish that is hard to kill. Speaking of which, there are a couple of western rivers suffering fish kills this summer, and we've got another Trail of Shame segment for you where we need your help to identify the people who literally trashed a campground at a well-known Oregon lake. But before we get into all of this good stuff, let's talk grouse. Next up on America Outdoors Radio, it's time for our segment on grouse hunting. That's right, grouse season is right around the corner. With us here again is Steve Belinda with the North American Grouse Partnership. Steve, this week I'd like to talk about a tradition you take part in, but most of us are not familiar with. Grouse Camp. All of us have heard of Deer Camp. All of us have heard of Elk Camp. Some of us, like myself, participate in Duck Camp, but I've never heard of Grouse Camp before. Tell me more about this.
Well, thank you, John, and it's great to be here again to visit with you. Well, Grouse Camp for me really originated out of, bow hunting for elk early, and it being so hot that there not be an opportunity to chase vocal bull elk. So what happened is some friends and I that hunted together decided that we were going to start spending our time hunting grouse during that early part of the season, and it evolved to rather than us going to elk camp, really going to grouse camp. And it provided us an opportunity to hunt at a little bit slower pace, put that meat on the table every day because there are a lot of grouse out there, and also share that camaraderie that we all love about our traditional hunting camps. And having grown up with a really strong tradition of hunting camps, this is just another way to carry that forward and to get folks that maybe are new to hunting or that don't big game hunting the opportunity to experience the fun of a hunting camp.
Well, I've got to admit, this is very intriguing to me. I go to something called Fish Camp every September, and the great thing about a camp in September is the weather is usually just perfect. Not too hot, but not too cold either. Usually you've got lots of sunshine. And if you're going to be in a place like where you're going to find forest grouse, more than likely you're going to be in a place where there's streams and lakes, and you can do kind of a cast and blast vacation.
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the great things I enjoy is I'll bring my fly rod or have my spinner on, have my kids there, hunt grouse for a few hours in the morning, middle of the day, enjoy that camp life, catch some trout for the frying pan, teach the kids how to fly fish, and then in the evening go back out grouse hunting. The other thing that does is it gives your dog time to rest and rejuvenate. As you said, early season grouse hunting can be pretty hot, and so giving that dog some extra rest, some time to recuperate will keep that dog fresher so that when you're out there in the mornings or evenings, he's doing his best job.
Well, I'll tell you what, this sounds like a great idea. Where are some places where you are aware grouse camps take place? I don't want to go to your specific grouse camp. I'm not going to ruin yours for you, but just, generally speaking, where are some good places that people ought to think of doing this?
Well, here in Montana, I see grouse camps. Actually, there's one that I've talked to some folks. They've been doing it for 25 years. Up on the high country adjacent to Yellowstone National Park, they actually pack in and do what seemingly would be an elk camp, but for grouse.
Nice.
I have some friends that have been grouse camping in the Dakotas and the Prairie States, eastern Montana, Nebraska, for sharp-tailed grouse every year, and they bring trailers and wall tents and banjos and have that grand old time, and they actually become part of the communities where they're doing it at. And of course, anywhere you have grouse, you have the opportunity to put up a grouse camp, whether it's on private or public lands. It's just a great time to be out there, and I know I've been in grouse camps in Wyoming, Montana, South Dakota, Nebraska, and other western states.
Well, there you go, folks. So if you're looking for a new tradition, this sounds like a great one. Again, combine the fun of hunting and camping with some fishing, too, at a beautiful time of year. It's called Grouse Camp, and you can start your own tradition right now. If you want to find out more about the North American Grouse Partnership, go to their website. It's grousepartners.org. This organization advocates for conservation of grouse and for improving habitat for them, too. The website, again, grousepartners.org. Steve, thanks for checking in with us again on America Outdoors Radio.
All right, John, thank you, and grouse on.
Timberline range camps are known for their rugged, durable, well-insulated range camp trailers. Don't think of these as an RV. They're an RV on steroids that will last you a lifetime. They are comfortable, too, fitted with all the amenities you would expect, and they even include a wood stove. Timberline range camps can be used as a hunting camp or a towable home to take you to your remote getaway. One thing is for sure, all your friends will be envious of your towable range camp trailer. Find out more at sheepcamps.com. That's sheepcamps.com for Timberline range camps.
Tom and Jerry's Boat Center in Mount Vernon is Washington's largest Hughes Craft and Kingfisher aluminum boat dealer. As a leader in sales, service, and fun on the water, Tom and Jerry's only purpose is to make sure you end up with the right boat for your family's needs at a price that will make you smile. Whether it's a new Hughes Craft or Kingfisher or a new Yamaha or Honda outboard, Tom and Jerry's can take care of all your needs. Check us out at tomandjerrys.net, and we'll see you on the water.
Hughes Craft is the Pacific Northwest best-selling boat. It's a family fishing boat that has been providing the most safety, fishability, and the best value to Northwest boaters since 1948. Hughes Craft's welded aluminum boats are built for serious fishermen with plenty of room for fighting fish, not the rest of the crew. Our state-of-the-art design allows for pure fishing functionality and the durability to last season after season, year after year, and decade after decade. To find the Hughes Craft dealer nearest you, visit hughescraft.com.
Clipper Ship RV Motorhome Rentals offers you the opportunity to explore Alaska in the comfort of a motorhome. Unpack once and make your own trip off the beaten path. Clipper Ship offers different sizes from 19 to 36-foot long motorhomes in Class A, B, and C models. Don't worry about bringing along extras with you. The utensils, linens, and unlimited mileage are all included in the price, and we guarantee you the best rates in Alaska. Find out more at clippershiprv.com. That's clippershiprv.com.
Some of the best saltwater fishing you'll ever experience is taking place off Vancouver Island this year, and Rugged Point Lodge is where you need to go to catch them. Rugged Point Lodge offers comfortable accommodations, great food, and the chance to catch a limit of salmon, halibut, or lingcod mere minutes away from the dock. Better still, it's not too late to book a trip for this summer to take advantage of what promises to be the best salmon fishing in a generation. Book now at ruggedpointlodge.com. ruggedpointlodge.com, where fishing dreams come true.
Want to go on a charter with some of the most talented anglers on the water? Then book a trip with Northwest Fishing Guides. Salmon, that's right, salmon are their specialty, and you'll get a chance to catch them out of the mighty Columbia River from a comfortable and sturdy 26-foot boat. Northwest Fishing Guides will take you out for steelhead and sturgeon too, and can also accommodate your saltwater fishing desires. So, whether you want salmon in the cooler or other fish on the line, book your trip now at nwfishingguides.net. That's nwfishingguides.net. Book your trip with the best.
It's a trek to get here, but that's what you love about it. The Hawkeye Land and Sea Fishing Club is located on the remote central coast of British Columbia, within the Hawkeye Conservancy Marine Park. If you're expecting a fancy towel service kind of fishing resort, well, you're out of luck. But if you're looking for seriously world-class fishing and spectacular scenery, you're in for an experience unlike any other. For more information about joining the club or visiting as a guest, go to HawkeyeLandandSea.com.
Do you long to hunt Africa's most dangerous big game? Big Game Hunting Adventures offers that. Hunting free-range Cape buffalo in some of the wildest untamed country left on the continent. You'll be the only hunting party tracking free-range buffalo on 160,000 acres of land, where the borders of Mozambique, South Africa, and Zimbabwe meet. They include pickup at Johannesburg International Airport, and they're among the most affordable you'll find in all of Africa. Book your safari today at BigGameHuntingAdventures.com.
Back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Kruse. This portion of the show is brought to you by Northwest Sportsman Magazine. It's the publication that comes out every month and covers the fishing and hunting scene in Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and Montana as well. Pick it up at a newsstand near you. Dove hunting season is kicking off September 1st in much of the West, and we thought it'd be a good idea to get a guide on board who knows a whole bunch about dove hunting. His name is Jeff Miller. He's the owner of Field and Marsh Outfitters out of Oregon. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Welcome, John. How are you? Thank you.
Doing great, Jeff. You know, I love the dove opener because unlike duck hunting, dove hunting is really kind of a social sport. You don't have all that competitiveness you see with duck hunters who are there like 2 days beforehand and they're blind waiting to go. And there's usually a lot of shooting and a lot of birds. It's just a ton of fun and a great way to get ready for the rest of the bird season.
Yes, I was fortunate enough to hunt in the South, and down there it's like a major social event. In Florida, they have 3 different dove openers, so you can imagine what that's like. And so it is a social event. It's a great time to inject a youth hunter, whether they shoot or not, into, that environment, because generally the weather's agreeable.
Right.
A lot of birds going on, a lot of shooting. It's a good way for them, as my dad would say, to get their feet wet. And there's not a lot of walking, and if they got a dog, they can watch the dog, and dad can watch their daughter or son. And so, yeah, it's definitely a big thing. The bird populations have held up. They've raised the bag limit in Oregon to 15 a day, 45 aggregate. A Eurasian dove is part of that mix. And so I don't know anybody that shoots 15 doves very often.
Me either. But let's talk about hitting those pesky doves, because I am that classic dove hunter who goes through 3 boxes of shells to get my limit. Those things just seem to juke and jive. I've seen a single dove go across the dove field and watch 6-7 people shoot at it, and everybody miss. Why are these birds so hard to hit, and what tips do you have for those of us who struggle?
Well, I think that the most people have just not had an opportunity to go out and practice. I think that crossing shots and skeet, the high house, a little bit of trap, some of the higher presented targets and sporting clays will help you. I think most of us have got 3 shotguns, 3, in other words, 3 shells. I tend to prefer an over and under, modified and full. It's usually your 3rd shot, just a Hail Mary desperation shot, and oftentimes you'll hit a bird with a BB, it'll die down the road, and so you won't ever see that. And so I think that, there's different approaches to shooting. There's, sustained lead, there's snap shooting, which I was doing this morning when I was working with some dogs. There's the follow-through type. Everybody, got to get your style down before you hit the field. But I think that shooting 7.5s and 8s earlier in the season is good. That works. And if you're getting 1 bird per 5 rounds, you're probably doing really well.
All right. You're making me feel a little bit better about myself, Jeff. I appreciate that. What do you prefer for gauge? Are you a 12-gauge guy, 20-gauge guy? I've heard some people go out there with 28-gauge.
I've got quite a few clients to shoot with 28s. But most of them are older. They're at that point in their life when they don't want to get beat up. They don't want to carry a heavy gun. I think if you don't do a lot of shooting, 12 is better because it's just throwing a bigger pattern, to be honest with you. The 20s throw same size pattern, but less shot, so conceivably not as really as strong a pattern. And so the 20s are fine. I've got a couple of 20s. It's just matter of preference. Some people feel that 20, it's a faster gun. You can move through the target faster. You can also miss faster. So it's like I've got a gentleman in his 80s that hunts with me, and he uses a 20. He hunts ducks with a 20 and has for years. But that gun is like an appendage, of his body.
Right.
And we don't spend enough time with our guns to make that happen. And that's, this tough shooting's not, it's not, you're shooting lead, the shells aren't costing you 50 cents to $1 a piece.
Right.
So it's just a lot more fun, So I would say just take your time and follow through, and don't shoot that 3rd shot, because generally it's just desperation.
Nope.
You're not gonna get anything unless you really pick the birds up early and just position yourself in the flyways you're in so that you've got a very good shot to the front, either left or right, at a 45-degree, 60-degree elevation.
We're talking to Jeff Miller. He's the owner of Field and Marsh Outfitters out of Oregon, and he guides for all sorts of birds, and one of the guiding trips he'll take you on is a dove hunting trip. Let's talk about that. Let's say somebody calls you up, a little late this year, I understand, but let's say somebody calls you up and says, hey, I want to go dove hunting with you. What does that trip look like? Are you taking them to Central Oregon to some wheat fields or what?
Well, we've got some fields in north central Oregon that have water, and those are pretty good DIY, do-it-yourself kind of places. And generally, we'll get a group of 4 or 5 guys, and we'll set them up on, depending on the pattern on the birds, usually water at night, near gravel and roost early in the morning, then close to feed during midday, wheat fields. Up in Washington, eastern Washington, the western Kruse area, we have as much wheat, we have just less water.
Right.
And so those birds are a little harder to track. And but a lot of people don't realize that besides, black oil sunflowers, doves really love sagebrush seeds. And a lot of the birds I kill, they've got sagebrush seeds in their crop.
That is really interesting you mentioned that, Jeff. I'm going to cut you off there because there's been a place I've gone to for years, and it's a sagebrush field, and we kick them out like you'd kick out quail. And I always assumed they were basically just sitting there for the shade in the afternoon. It never occurred to me that they were actually feeding on the seed.
Yeah, it really depends on that's a little nugget, I guess, John. It's a lot of times, you're going to be out in the desert, and there's not going to be a lot of places to roost. But if a bird can roost and eat at the same time and be in the shade, that's a huge deal. And so some of the best jump shooting I've ever had was in those low sage, not the 100-year-old sagebrush plots, but the ones, most of them now have been all burned off, but they're only like 3-4 feet high. And then it's just a safety thing where you really need to wear orange in that environment versus going to, in Oregon we don't have to, but I mean, you need orange on it, but it's really critical mass when you're hunting a 3 or 4 foot sagebrush because you can get some incredible jump shoots. And but they love those seeds as much as they love black oil sunflowers, I think.
Well, there you go. That's a great tip. Now, you also offer overnight accommodations with your dove hunts, too, but we're starting to run short on time, so we need to give folks a website so they can find out more about booking not just a dove hunting trip with you, but all sorts of bird hunting trips.
My website, northwesthunting.com, or you can Google Field and Marsh, and we'll come up 3rd and 4th on that. There's a couple other Field and Marsh, like apparel companies in the world.
Well, there you go. The website, again, folks, is northwesthunting.com. That's an easy one to remember, northwesthunting.com. Go ahead and check it out. Give Jeff Miller a call. His guide service, again, Field and Marsh Outfitters. Jeff, thanks for telling us all about this on America Outdoors Radio.
Thank you, John. I appreciate you having me on, and good luck to everybody this fall.
The 106th Pendleton Roundup kicks off September 14th and runs through the 17th in Pendleton, Oregon. Come watch top cowboys compete on a historic grass infield where the chutes are made of wood and the riders are made of iron. You can also enjoy an authentic Old West experience, genuine hospitality, a teepee village, parades, PBR, 100 years of the Happy Canyon Indian Pageant, along with lots of Western shopping. Tickets are available now for all events at PendletonRoundup.com. Let her buck.
Limit Out Performance Marine is your West Coast Phoenix, Larson, and Aluma craft boat dealer. We also offer full service for your Mercury and Yamaha outboard and have complete parts and tackle store for your every boating need. We'll not only provide you with full service for your boat, motor, and trailer, but we'll also educate you on how to better operate and maintain your boat so you can have a better experience in the water. Visit us at 421 5th Avenue Northwest in Pacific or go online to limitoutmarine.com.
It's time for another local shot of the outdoors. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, and you'll only hear it here on Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
It's time to go across the border again and head to the northwest coast of Vancouver Island. And that's where we're talking to Matt Gaget. He is the owner of Rugged Point Lodge. Matt, how's the fishing been the last couple weeks?
Oh, it's been really good. The fishing's moved from offshore to on the beach, so to speak, like in around the islands, whatnot, for Chinook.
Nice. And when it comes to the Chinook, it seems like they've been getting bigger and bigger. It's August now. In fact, it's late August now. How big are they? They should be at their peak for you right now.
Well, we're seeing the odd 30 35-pounder coming in, and lots in the 20 to 30-pound range.
Those are some nice fish.
Yeah, they are, especially, when you're getting them in 40 to 100 feet of water, fishing anywhere from, 20 feet on the downrigger down to 60.
Oh, sweet. Hey, how about the coho? They have just frankly not shown up off the Washington and Oregon coast in any numbers at all. Did they ever show up there for you?
It's been very spotty.
Okay. At least we all have the same shared problem when it comes to coho this year.
Yeah.
All right. Let's turn our attention to halibut.
Oh, halibut, it's been unbelievably good in the last little while.
Are you talking numbers or size or both?
Size and numbers, we're getting all our halibut within, an hour of dropping the anchor, and we've been getting them consistently in the 115 to 133 centimeter range, which are really nice halibut. That in pounds, that would be 55 to 75 pounds.
Wow.
We've had to release quite a few monsters, a couple that were up 150, 160 pounds.
Oh, my gosh. I didn't think the fishing could get better, but it has. And, folks, if you want to book for next year, now is the time to do so because Matt's got a lot of return customers, so you better book now. Find out more at his website, ruggedpointlodge.com. That's ruggedpointlodge.com for excellent salmon and halibut fishing off the northwest coast of Vancouver Island. Thanks as always, Matt.
Yeah, thanks, John. Nice talking to you.
There's a whole bunch more of the great outdoors coming your way on Fox Sports 1380.
Some of the best saltwater fishing you'll ever experience is taking place off Vancouver Island this year, and Rugged Point Lodge is where you need to go to catch them. Rugged Point Lodge offers comfortable accommodations, great food, and the chance to catch a limit of salmon, halibut, or lingcod mere minutes away from the dock. Better still, it's not too late to book a trip for this summer to take advantage of what promises to be the best salmon fishing in a generation. Book now at ruggedpointlodge.com. ruggedpointlodge.com, where fishing dreams come true.
Backcountry hunters and anglers, the men and women working hard to keep public lands in public hands. Check us out at backcountryhunters.org.
You're back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Kruse. This portion of the show is brought to you by California Sportsman Magazine. It's the publication covering the fishing and hunting scene throughout the great state of California. Look for a copy at a newsstand near you. Speaking of California, for our next segment, we're heading right to the border of Oregon and California. We're talking to Kruse Cooper. She's with the Slam'n Salmon Derby. It takes place out of the port of Brookings Harbor. Kruse, welcome to the show.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me.
So I understand the Slam'n Salmon Derby annual event is taking place this year, Saturday, September 3rd, Sunday, September 4th. Tell me more about it.
All right. Well, this is the 13th annual Slam'n Salmon Derby. And if you guys just got together one day and decided, let's just hold this great derby with fantastic prizes and have it be out on the ocean. And sure enough, it was a success. And they started donating quite a bit of money to the different fishing clubs that kind of maintain our estuaries, and the top prize is now $5,000. I think it's over, I want to say $17,000 worth of prizes given away over the weekend.
Wow. And $5,000 for the big fish, a Chinook salmon it's going to be, folks. That's nothing to sneeze at. Now, last year, I was looking at the stats. It looks like the big fish was nearly 29 pounds. That's a lot of Chinook to bring home.
Oh, yeah, and it's actually, you can get Chinook or coho, which is pretty great. And since we are on the Wild Rivers coast right here, we have the Winchuck River, the Checos River, the Rogue River, and the Smith River that all kind of dump right into our ocean right here. And so we've got the Chinook salmon or the coho salmon. The Chinook or the coho is eligible for the $5,000 top prize.
Okay, so again, you've got all this other prize money as well. Are these are these for like teams? Are these for like the second, third, fourth place? Go ahead and break down some of those.
Okay, so first place $5,000.
Gotcha.
Second place is $2,500. Third place is $1,000. Got other things for combined weight as well. So we've got daily prizes of $200, $100, and then $75. So that's for the first biggest and the second biggest for the day. And then we also give prize money for the smallest fish of the day.
Is there a youth division as well?
There is not, but I've seen little kids. I've actually personally fished in this tournament since I'm not going to tell you how long, but it's been about 10 years.
There you go.
I'm not going to tell you how old I was, but anyhow, it's fun for all ages. I see little kids. I see people who are 103 coming off their boat just having a blast.
Well, and folks, I got to tell you, this is not a small derby. It attracts up to 450 anglers. Part of the reason is the entry fee. It's only $50. It's a really big deal in Brookings. In addition to the derby itself, there's lots of things going on at the port, and you've got a salmon dinner at the end too, don't you?
Yep, I've got our world famous, or practically world famous, Slam'n Salmon Barbecue, and we usually sell up to 800 different barbecue dinners.
One more thing I've got to ask you: how do you expect the fishing to be this year? How's it been so far in your area?
Well, the fishing has been slow so far, and my thoughts is maybe they're just all hiding and waiting for us for September.
You may be right. But it's been a tough year all up and down the Oregon and Washington coast for salmon. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody, but that just makes it more challenging. It just means any fish could be a winner. It might not be a 29-pounder this year. It might just be you get one quality fish and you're in the money.
You don't have to catch a 40-pound fish to win the $5,000. Oh, and also we have a solid gold ring that's called our Derby ring, and that goes to the top prize winner too.
Very cool.
Some people fish for that ring more so than the dang money.
Well, it's all about bling, I guess. We've got to go. We've got to go, Chrissy. But again, folks, it's the Slam'n Salmon Derby. It's taking place Saturday, September 3rd, Sunday, September 4th in Brookings, Oregon, right by the California border. You can find out more by going to the website. It's Slam'n, spelled SLAMN, salmon.net. That's Slam'n, spelled SLAMN, salmon.net. Chrissy, thanks for telling us about this, and good luck with the Derby.
All right. Thank you, John, so much.
Next on America Outdoors Radio, we're transitioning from salmon fishing to duck hunting. That's right. Waterfowl season is coming up sooner than you think, and you may be in the market for a duck hunting boat. With us here to give you some tips on what to look for before you make that purchase is Brad Emerson with King Salmon Marine out of Tacoma, Washington. Brad, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So, Brad, when it comes to a duck hunting boat versus, just a regular standard V-hull boat, let's go ahead and talk about what folks should be looking for. And I guess we're going to start off with the hull itself. You need something pretty shallow draft, don't you?
Yes, you need something shallow draft, and you want something that's very open. So dogs, decoys, and equipment can be moved around for easy shooting access.
Now, when it comes to shallow draft, there's two ways to go. You can get a John boat, and that's just basically a flat-bottom boat, but there's some disadvantages to that, isn't there?
There are. Many of those are very light and narrow beamed, and they have a small weight capacity for people in gear. Lots of them, even their 16 feet, are only 3- and 4-person boats. So if you get that wider, welded, deep boat, then you're getting into 6-7 people capacity, which is much more stable.
There's a number of manufacturers that build what I like to call as combo fishing hunting boats, and you've got a couple of them on sale right now, some Smokercraft 16-foot boats. There's also Ranger makes them, Lowe makes them in the Roughneck series, and several others too. Let's talk about what those boats look like and why they might be a better choice for especially the hunter who's a fisherman too.
It's a one-boat do-all. You can do everything. Easy to launch, easy to retrieve, easy to power, easy to clean up. It has lots of room for fishing, so you can put guide chairs in it, which are movable in different positions. You can just pull those out of the boat and leave it all open for hunting, and it's something that is as easy as just putting a seat or two in, taking a seat or two out, and transitioning from just a lake fishing, steelhead, salmon boat to a good duck hunting boat.
The hull on those Smokercraft boats and a lot of these other ones that we've talked about, it's not a full V and it's not a flat bottom. It's something else that goes and does a little bit better in the chop.
Yeah, it's a semi-V, and it isn't just like a road grader duck boat with a flat nose. It's a semi-V, so you can actually duck hunt in larger areas with a smoother ride. You can do it in the Sound, the Columbia, the Snake, all the great duck hunting areas there, and still be shallow draft. I mean, they'll still float in 6 inches, 4 inches of water, but they ride much nicer when there's a breeze comes up or the wind. And if you're transitioning from hunting to fishing, where sometimes you move from place to place more frequently.
So let's talk about something else that's really important when it comes to purchasing a duck hunting boat. It's not just the boat, it's not just the hull, it's also the motor. And I guess we'll just get this out of the way really quick. Jet versus prop.
The jet motors will go shallower. So if you're running in rivers all the time that are moving water more, those are nicer because they'll run in 4 to 6 inches of water. But if you're in places like in ponds or in the Columbia, in back sloughs and places like that, they can also suck up grass and plug up. So if the water's moving a little bit, kind of the rule of thumb is if you're going to be in shallow water most of the time, and shallow I mean a few feet deep, a couple feet deep, cowlets, places like that, you are going to want a jet for sure. And they do have on the propellers now, they do have some mechanisms, river runners and such, that go down below the props that actually imitate kind of being a jet where you can run shallow. They'll bump on these protective pieces before they hit the prop. So it's just how much you're going to be in the shallows, like in the cowlets and in shallow water that's moving.
All right, Brad, we are out of time, but you do have a couple of nice Smokercraft duck boats on sale right now. Let's give folks your websites and they can find out more about them.
KingSalmonMarine.com.
That's KingSalmonMarine.com, and that's Brad Emerson with some great tips for buying your first duck hunting boat. Thanks, Brad. We appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much.
We've got to take a short break, but I hope you'll stick around because we've got a lot more coming your way on America Outdoors Radio, to include an incredibly interesting story involving two very well-known riders and a pair of elk antlers that connected them. And we also need your help to find some litter bugs on our trail of shame.
Are you ready for summertime fun? Have you been thinking about a new or used boat and motor? King Salmon Marine will fill all your boat and motor needs.
Row, row, row your boat to look for something new. 253-830-2962. Yay!
It's a trek to get here, but that's what you love about it. The Hawkeye Land and Sea Fishing Club is located on the remote central coast of British Columbia, within the Hawkeye Conservancy Marine Park. If you're expecting a fancy towel service kind of fishing resort, oh, you're out of luck. But if you're looking for seriously world-class fishing and spectacular scenery, you're in for an experience unlike any other. For more information about joining the club or visiting as a guest, go to HawkeyeLandandSea.com.
U.S. Marine Sales is the South Sound's largest marine retail store with an 8,000 square foot showroom. We've been locally owned and operated since 1978 and have a full service department with factory trained staff. We offer sales and service for Yamaha and Mercury outboards and sell Weldcraft, Lund, G3 and other boats for anglers. Want to have some fun on the water? We sell Yamaha wave runners too. Check out our website at usmarinesales.com and then visit us on Pacific Avenue in Olympia. The website again, usmarinesales.com.
Come celebrate the 100th anniversary of Happy Canyon at the Pendleton Roundup. Enjoy legendary hospitality at America's best large outdoor rodeo, where top cowboys and cowgirls compete on the world-famous grass arena. Really, there's just nothing quite like it. New this year, celebrity chef Max Germano is serving up a multiple-course foodie experience at trackside dining tables during the rodeo. It's Letter Buck at a whole new level. Country artist Lee Bryce, Westward Ho Parade, Banner Bank, Pendleton PBR Classic. It's a whole week of authentic Western lifestyle. 100 years of Happy Canyon Indian Pageant. The story of the Old West with traditional Native American culture and a Wild West show. Dance the night away at Goldie's Bar at the Canyon. This is the year to cross it off your bucket list because tickets are available right now for every event at PendletonRoundup.com. September 10th through 17th. Letter Buck.
DM Bullard Leather has been in business for over 20 years. We use Herman oak leather to make concealed and open carry gun holsters, as well as knife sheaths, belts, cowboy gear, and wallets. All of our products are handmade, and we even offer exotic skins if you're looking for something really special. Check out our products in 16 different gun shops or go to our website at dmbullard.com. That's dmbullard.com for the best leather you will ever have.
Welcome back to America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Kruse. It's time for some outdoors news, and this portion of the show is brought to you by the Hawkeye Land and Sea Fishing Club, located in the remote reaches of British Columbia and offering fantastic fishing for salmon, halibut, and more. The Hawkeye Land and Sea Fishing Club is not a commercial operation. No, this is a members-only club, and there's openings right now. You can join, and you can get up there and enjoy some incredible fishing and do it on your own. When you get there, they've got the boats for you. They've got a cook who's going to cook you some great meals. They've got accommodations for you. Everything you need to have a great time is waiting for you at the Hawkeye Land and Sea Fishing Club. Find out more at hawkeyelandandsea.com. We've got one heck of a story for you from the Associated Press about two literary giants from the 21st century, both of whom killed themselves in their later years, and a set of elk antlers one writer stole from the other. It all started in 1964 when a young reporter went to Ketchum, Idaho with an assignment from the National Observer to write a story about why Ernest Hemingway, the famously well-known fisherman, hunter, and man's man as well as one heck of a writer, shot himself in his home in this Idaho town at the age of 61. The writer was a huge fan of Hemingway's and decided to take a souvenir from the residence, and it's not like he asked to take it. He stole it. The souvenir in question, a set of elk antlers that was mounted over the front door of Hemingway's home. The young writer took the antlers home to his own resort town in Aspen, Colorado, and hung them up in his garage, but over time, according to his wife, came to regret the theft and spoke to her about taking a road trip and returning the antlers he had pilfered. Meanwhile, the young writer developed a style of his own and a following too. They invented a term about him and the way he inserted himself, often in an outrageous fashion, into the stories he wrote. The style was coined gonzo journalism, and the writer was Hunter S. Thompson. Thompson, though, like Hemingway, was a flawed and tortured man whose inner life was much different than the one he portrayed to the outside world. In 2005, Hunter Thompson, like Hemingway, ended his life by shooting himself in his home. Thompson was 67 years old. The story didn't end there, though. Flash forward another 11 years, and Anita Thompson, Hunter's widow, returned the antlers to a library established at Hemingway's former residence in Ketchum. The trophy European mount has since been shipped and now resides, rightfully I might add, in the home of one of Ernest Hemingway's grandsons in New York, that person being Sean Hemingway. Some salmon are tougher than others. That's the gist of an article out of the Kitsap Sun in Bremerton, Washington, which highlights a study showing chum salmon appear to be a lot tougher than their cousins, coho salmon. Scientists at Washington State University's Stormwater Research Center made the surprising discovery that chum are unaffected by the same levels of toxic road runoff that quickly kills coho salmon. Also known as dog salmon, chum are the most plentiful salmon in Puget Sound. They've maintained healthy populations, while coho and chinook numbers have plummeted. As part of the study, the salmon were exposed to stormwater captured from busy roadways. The coho showed almost immediate signs of illness and were dead within 24 hours. The same toxic cocktail appears to have little effect on the chum. The results match a decade of urban creek monitoring. Coho and Seattle area creeks were observed dying at high rates after heavy or light rainfall. Rain picks up oil, heavy metals, and other contaminants from roofs, roads, and parking lots and funnels them into creeks. Meanwhile, the chum's runoff resistance is a mystery. Chum are considered the most robust of the salmon species. Even the problem of low dissolved oxygen, which has long plagued coho and other marine species in Hood Canal, is taken in stride by the resilient chum salmon. The only downside to all this is that while they're tough, the chum salmon are not particularly tasty. As a matter of fact, there's a reason they're called dog salmon. Some say it's because when they get close to spawning, they have big teeth that look like the canines from a dog. Other people say The reason they're called dog salmon is because their meat's only fit for a dog. We go from chum salmon to some western rivers which are in trouble. From California Sportsman Magazine and the Union Democrat of Sonora, we learn rainbow trout in the Stanislaus River declined 75% last year due to drought and warm pulse flow releases from New Melones Dam. That's according to a consultant for 2 water districts. Andrea Fuller, the operations manager for Fish Bio, said trout need cool water to survive, not warm water. If anything, according to Fuller, the flows have done more harm than good because we depleted the cold water storage at New Melones. Warm water in the river has caused the trout population to decline from an average over 6 years to about 5,000 fish. It's the combination of the drought and management decisions that contributed to declining trout populations. Meanwhile, in Montana, the Fish, Wildlife, and Parks Department has closed the Yellowstone River to all water access after a major fish kill occurred there over the last 2 weeks. Biologists have documented over 2,000 dead mountain whitefish on some affected stretches of the Yellowstone. With that, Fish, Wildlife, and Parks estimates the total impact to mountain whitefish in the Yellowstone to be in tens of thousands. Fish, Wildlife, and Parks has also received reports of the kill beginning to affect some rainbow and Yellowstone cutthroat trout. Because of this, the river is closed to fishing, wading, boating, and tubing from Yellowstone Park's northern boundary at Gardner to the Highway 212 bridge in Laurel. The action is necessary to protect the fishery and the economy it sustains. The closure will also help limit the spread of parasites to adjacent rivers through boats, tubes, waders, and other human contact and minimize further mortality in all fish species.
It's time for the Trail of Shame.
Shame, shame on you. Shame, shame on you.
Stories of poachers, scoundrels, and other ne'er-do-wells, so if you see someone committing a criminal act on the water or in the field, turn them in. It's the right thing to do.
Our inductees this week are the yet-to-be-identified litter bugs who left a campsite full of trash to include empty bottles of alcohol, food wrappers, diapers, socks, and more at Oregon's Detroit Lake last weekend. U.S. Forest Service rangers cleaned up the campsite near Kinney Creek 2 weeks ago, but not before taking pictures of the mess left behind and posting them on Facebook, where they went viral. Jude McHugh, a spokeswoman for the Willamette National Forest, was quoted as saying, "This is unfortunately relatively common." To which I would reply, really? When did it become socially acceptable to trash our public lands? The Forest Service is looking for those responsible for this massive act of littering. If you have any information about who did this, please contact the Willamette National Forest and let them know, so that these walkers on our trail of shame can get the attention and fines and maybe even jail time they deserve.
Shame on you.
Next up on America Outdoors Radio, we've got a product review for you. We're broadcasting from SHOT Show in Las Vegas, Nevada, where all the firearms manufacturers come and roll out what's new and what's the best that they have for sale. Well, one such company is Kimber. They are headquartered in Yonkers, but their sales office is in Kalispell, Montana. That's where Ryan Bussey works. And Ryan, you've got a Mountain Ascent rifle in your hands, and I just love this firearm. It is so lightweight.
I do, John, and lightweight's what it's all about. Not only is it lightweight, our main goal with everything we make is to essentially cut no corners. The only corner we cut here was weight. Functionally, though, this is what we would consider to be the upper echelon of, I guess if you would, a sheep rifle, but it's anything that you would hunt in the West. But our short action guns in this, so the 308, 6.5 Creedmoor, which is new for us this year, a hot caliber, those guns weigh in at under 5 pounds, 4 pounds, 13 ounces, and you probably have a couple granola bars in your backpack that weigh 4 pounds and 13 ounces. So this is really a joy to carry, and they're 1-inch guns. They shoot fantastic, come with a muzzle brake on them, a gun that we're really proud of.
You know, an 8, 9, 10-pound firearm gets really, really heavy really quick. So having something that's a third of that weight or half that weight, that is a big game changer.
Yeah, you know, it really is. And when we first brought this rifle out, I had a lot of friends in the industry that have been hunting with 8, 9, 10, 12-pound rifles for a long time and thought nothing of it. Heck, I used to do it, but I've yet to find a person out of the thousands who have bought these rifles who hasn't said, oh my gosh, what have I been doing for the last 10 or 15 or 20 years?
Well, folks, it's an absolutely beautiful and functional firearm, and with this weight, it would be a pleasure to carry all day long. And it looks like it's going to shoot just great, too. Where can people find the Mountain Ascent rifle?
So we're sold in about 2,500 retail stores across the United States.
One other thing we ought to mention, what's the website for Kimber?
It's kimberamerica.com.
That's kimberamerica.com. Kimber, one of the finest firearm makers out there. Thanks, Ryan. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for being at SHOT Show.
We hope you enjoyed our show this week, brought to you by our sponsors, the publishers of California Sportsman Magazine, Northwest Sportsman Magazine, the Alaska Sporting Journal, and the American Shooting Journal. If you get a chance, check out our website. It's AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. You'll find a podcast of last week's show there. You'll also find information about what's coming up on our next show. We've got a Facebook page, too. It's America Outdoors Radio. Go ahead and like our page and follow as we post pictures and information about what's going on in the outdoors in this great country we live in. Another website to check out, WRVO Radio. It's found at RenoViolaOutdoors.com. It has this show, our sister show, Northwestern Outdoors Radio, and about 30 plus other outdoor shows that they broadcast 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I hope God blesses you both today and in the days ahead. Labor Day weekend and the unofficial end of the summer camping season is taking place next week. Whether you join the crowds or stick close to home is your decision. But remember, it's your country and your outdoors.
It's time for another local shot of the outdoors. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, and you'll only hear it here on Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
Next on Northwestern Outdoors Radio, we're doing a What's New in the Zoo, so to speak, from SHOT Show 2016 in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're talking to Shane Meisel with Leupold Optics. They're out of Beaverton, Oregon. They got a huge booth here, and you've got a brand new rifle scope out, don't you?
We do, actually. We like to say America's favorite rifle scope just got better. We've got the VX3i, I standing for improved. So everyone knows about the VX3. It's been our mainstay for many, many years, and we've gone ahead and made it a little bit better. Specifically, how we made it better, we focused on some ergonomics. We made the power selector ring easier to turn, easier to feel, so if you're wearing gloves, you don't have any problems finding where you're at on your power. But what we really focused on is the light management.
And I'm going to ask you a little bit more about that, because I'm used to hearing about light transmission and percentage numbers when I hear about rifle scopes, but, you know, this is a little bit different, isn't it?
It is. Light transmission is only one piece that creates the image you see. A lot of people like to talk about light percentage numbers, and they're focusing on the middle spectrum of visible light. What we do is we look at all light available. So we want to make sure we maximize light transmission through the entire visible spectrum, but we also want to make sure we manage for things like glare and improve contrast. And if you're not focusing on the entire system as a whole, you're not going to get the best image possible.
So the glare can be an issue, obviously, when you're hunting in areas where it's rainy or it's foggy and there's some sunlight that's hitting there. Obviously, this is going to be really important when you're hunting early in the morning, late in the evening, when you need all the light possible. It just looks really impressive. And is there anybody else doing this?
No, there's nobody else doing this. I mean, this comes from, Leupold's been around for 109 years. For 109 years, we've been focusing on optics. We've been building scopes for almost 70 years. This is something we've learned over our many, many years of manufacturing optics on how to make sure we get the best performance possible.
So one other question. This is a new scope. It's a VX3i. I'm assuming that means we're going to have to pay more money for it.
No, you would think so. No, because of our manufacturing and our ability to continuously improve, we're actually going to charge less than our VX3. These are going to be $100 less at retail than the previous model VX3. And that's just simply due to our American craftsmanship, our over 70 years of experience building scopes, and being able to take those efficiencies and pass them on to the consumer.
Now, folks, that's a deal. So a new and improved scope for a lower price. It's American made. As a matter of fact, it's Northwest made. Check out the new VX3i.